campers, it's Miss Caroline here with another week of music. I hope you guys had a good week last week and a good week before that. I hope camp has been going well for you. So I'm going to review with you a little bit what we talked about last week. So here is what we looked at last week. We looked at a major scale on the grand staff, and we looked at the formula for a major scale. I realized last week that I didn't show you what a major scale sounded like, and that we didn't really go into detail about the major scale like I planned to do. So I do apologize for that. We are going to do that this week. And we also looked at the sharps and flats, symbolized by the black keys on the piano. And we also talked about whole and half steps, and we listened to whole and half steps and differentiated a whole step from a half step in terms of our hearing. So the plan for this week is to learn a little bit more about the major scale, and I am going to show you what a major scale sounds like with my guitar. And we're also going to take a look at the sharps and flats again, and I'm going to show you how to show sharps and flats on the grand scale, the grand staff, excuse me. Once again, I apologize for not doing that last week. I know that I said that I would. I lost track of time a little bit, so we are going to take care of that this week. All right, and before we get into the lesson, I also wanted to remind you about the incentives that we are giving out for the people that comment the most. So please make sure that you're commenting, keeping up with that, because that is how we track your attendance. Plus, there's a prize for it. So if you want to earn that prize, please keep commenting. We're going to give out smaller incentives during throughout each week, and then at the end of camp, there's going to be a bigger incentive. So please keep that in mind, and please keep commenting and participating. We would really appreciate that. So with that being said, let's get right into our lesson. Let's start with our vocal warm-ups. Alright guys, let's get started with our vocal warm-ups. As I said last week, I'm always going to try to implement something new in the vocal warm-ups so it doesn't feel like we're doing the same thing every time. I'm going to try to teach you some new techniques throughout these 6 weeks with you. Today it's not going to be anything too excruciating. The only new thing that we're going to do today is I'm also going to do some descending exercises with you. So if you remember in past exercises, I've always kind of like taken you upward. So today we're going to practice singing downward as well. One thing that you will learn if you continue with music, for singing in particular, it's always easier to sing up the scale, and it's always more difficult to sing down. That's kind of just how it is. We're not really used to hearing things on the way down as much, so it is completely natural to not do so hot with the descending warm-ups, and that is completely fine. Nobody's perfect. We're all beginners here, so do not get discouraged if you find some of these exercises to be challenging. They're supposed to be challenging. Music is difficult when you first start with it, but once you stick with it, it starts to come easier, and it's very rewarding. So we're going to basically do the same exercises that we've been doing, but this time, like I said, I'm going to take you in the descending direction as well. So let's start here. Let's start on this G, and we're going to do what we did last week, and we're just going to sing to the third and then back. So we're going to start here and go no, 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 and then I'll take you up, and then I'll take you back down. So let's get started with that. So take a minute to find your note. It's very important to find your note. Excuse me. All right. No, 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 no. 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 that's where we'll stop, and that is where I will start to take you down. So, let's hear that note one more time. No. So we're gonna go no, 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 no. And we're gonna go down. So find that note. No, 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 no. Down again. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. See, even I have trouble with it. No, 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 no. 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 All right, perfect. So, if you found that to be a little bit challenging, again, that's okay. It's always challenging on the first time when you start to go down. But great job. I'm very proud of you. I apologize for all the background noise. These are the pipe system in my house. It can be loud. So, let's start on that same note, that G. G is always a good and reliable place to start when you're doing vocal exercises. So we'll start here again, and we're gonna sing up to the fifth and then back down. So we're gonna go no, 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 no. We're gonna do that. We're gonna go up to that same spot, and then I'm gonna take you back down like we did with the last one. So start here. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. All right, perfect. So let's start at that chord again. This note here, no, and we're gonna go down like we did with the last exercise. So, no, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. All right. Good job today on that warm-up. So what we're going to do today, I'm going to talk to you about solfege, which is a singing technique that is very commonly used, and we're going to implement that in next week's vocal warm-up. So today I thought I would just introduce the descending in terms of singing, and then next week we will implement that solfege. So great job on the warm-up today. Now let's get right into the lesson. All right, guys, let's continue with our lesson on sharps and flats. So let's take a look at this. I'm going to ask you to ignore this and this for now. There's a reason I circled those two things. I'll get into it in a second. But for now, I want to focus down here on our piano, our fake piano down here. So we looked at this last week. We looked at all the white keys in their names and all the black keys in their names. So for instance, this note here is C sharp, and it is also D flat. This is D sharp, it's also E flat, and so forth. I told you that a sharp is symbolized by a little hashtag looking thing, and a flat is symbolized by a little lowercase b. So let's look at how to show some sharps and flats on the grand staff. So this is a C note. We know that. This is a regular C note, so this note expresses this note down here. But let's say we want to express this note. That would be C sharp. All right. Notice how I didn't write C flat because C flat would just be B. And we're rarely ever going to call B C flat. It doesn't make a ton of sense. Believe it or not, there are some instances where you actually would call B C flat, and you would call E F flat, and you would call F E sharp, and you would call C B sharp, but that is a completely different conversation, and that is something I'm not going to get into with you because that is a fairly advanced concept, and we're all beginners here, and we don't need to be confused with that. So for now, this is E, this is F, this is B, this is C, nothing else. All right. So yeah, C, C sharp, C, C sharp. All right. So, and if we're looking at this note here, this is a D. This is a regular D. So that is this. This is that. But let's say we want to express this note here. That is D sharp. We would write it like that. And let's say we wanted to express this note. That would be D flat. Further up the line, this is E, so that is that. And let's say again we want to express this as an E, E flat. Going up, again, F, this is an F, just a normal F. And let's say we want to express this. That would be F sharp. Further up the line, that is a G, regular G right there. So regular G. If we wanted to express this, that is G sharp. So right up there, G sharp. And let's say we wanted to express this note here as a G, G flat. So we're always going to write our accents. We're always going to write our sharps and flats to the left of the note. You're never going to write it to the right. All right, that's incorrect. So this, yes, this, no. All right. So you will notice that each black key has two different names. For instance, this here, this is G sharp, and it is also A flat. And because those notes have two different names, there are two different ways of expressing them on the grand staff. So this is, this note here, that's a G sharp. We would express that like that. Elmo gave Barney dead fish. Elmo gave G. G sharp, we would express this as G sharp. But if we wanted to write that as an A, it would be A flat. So this and this are the same thing. Therefore, this and this will actually sound the exact same, despite the fact that they are two different notes on the grand staff, which is pretty cool. All right, so now let's get into not whole and half steps. Let's get into the major scale formula, and we're going to look at how to make a major scale. All right, guys, so now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about building a major scale. So, I mentioned to you last week that the formula for building a major scale is whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. And we also talked about whole and half steps last week. So we know that a half step is a note and the note directly next to it, and a whole step is a note and a note in between the note that you're trying to go to. So C to C sharp, that's a half step, but C to D, that's a whole step. So if you're trying to do a half step, you would go to the note directly next to the note you're starting from, and if you're doing a whole step, you're going to skip a note to get to the note you're trying to go to. So let's build some major scales together. All right, so this is a C major scale. I took the liberty of just writing out the note names for you. So let's start at C, and let's go through the formula to see why a C major scale looks like this, all right? So, first step is whole step. So if we're starting at C and we do a whole step, that's D. So C, D. Next step, whole step. So if we're at D and we do a whole step, that is E. So whole step, whole step, whole step, whole step. So C, D, E. All right, and next step is half step. So a half step from E is F. So C, D, E, F. Next step is whole step. So if we're doing a whole step from F, that is G. C, D, E, F, G. Next step is whole step. So if we're doing a whole step from G, that is A. So C, D, E, F, G, A. Next step, whole step. So if we're doing a whole step from A, that is B. C, D, E, F, G, A, B. And if we're doing a half step, B to a half step from B, excuse me, is C. So C. All right, so there are 7 notes in a major scale, 7 different notes. So C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then it starts over again. All right, so now that we did that, let's start from a different note. So let's start at G. So if we're starting at G, let's go through the formula again. So first step is whole step. So whole step from G is A. G, A. Next step, of course, is whole step. So a whole step from A is B. G, A, B. Next step is half step. So a half step from B is C. G, A, B, C. Next step is whole step. So a whole step from, where was I? C, sorry. A whole step from C is D. G, A, B, C, D. All right, and next step is whole step. So doing a whole step from D, let's go back here. Whole step from D is E. So G, A, B, C, D, E. And next step is whole step. So a whole step from E is F sharp. So G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp. And last step is half step, so a half step from F sharp is G. Now, you might be asking me, hey, why is that F sharp? Why isn't it G flat? And the answer is because when you're building a major scale, you're always, or when you're building any scale actually, you're always going to want to follow that alphabetical pattern. So since we already have a G in the scale, there's no use in writing G flat. That doesn't make any sense. So we're going to want to keep that alphabetical pattern of A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So we wouldn't do A, B, C, D, E, G, G. That doesn't make sense, right? Yeah, so you're always going to want to keep with that alphabetical pattern. So that is why this is F sharp and not G flat. So now let's talk about solfege. So solfege, which is the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do up here, if you know what that is, but you didn't know that it was called solfege, that's what it's called. It's called solfege. So that is our singing technique for a major scale. Do applies to the first note, re the second, mi the third, fa the fourth, sol the fifth, la the sixth, ti the seventh, do is starting over again, back at 1. So let me play you a major scale on my guitar and let's try to sing it, all right? So this here is a C note. So if we wanted to play a major scale, it would sound like this. And if we wanted to go backwards, it would sound like this. So if we were going to sing that in solfege, it would sound like this. Do, re, mi, to sing it backwards, it would sound like this. Do, ti, la, sol, fa. Oh, I screwed that up. I'm sorry. Do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Alright. So, if you remember in our vocal warm-ups when I told you to sing thirds, what I was telling you to do was to do this. So what you're doing when you're singing that, we were singing on a na, but the solfege for that would be do, mi, sol, mi, do. Alright? So, we will practice more with solfege in our vocal warm-up next week, but that is solfege, that is a major scale. So I hope you learned something today. I hope that was fun for you. We will pick up with that next week, excuse me. So good work today, everybody, and as always, I'm going to end with a song. Alright guys, great job today. I'm gonna end with a song. This song is called The Show. It's by an artist named Lenka, so I hope you enjoy it. I'm just a little bit caught in the middle. Life is a maze, love is a riddle. I don't know where to go, can't do it alone. I've tried, and I don't know why. Slow it down, make it stop, or else my heart is going to pop. Cause it's too much, yeah, it's a lot to be something I'm not. I'm a fool out of love, and I just can't get enough. I'm just a little bit caught in the middle. Life is a maze, and love is a riddle. I don't know where to go, can't do it alone. I've tried, and I don't know why. I'm just a little girl lost in the moment. I'm so scared, but I don't show it. I can figure it out, it's bringing me down. I know I've got to let it go. Just enjoy the show. The sun is hot in the sky, just like a giant spotlight. The people follow the sign and synchronize in time. It's a joke, nobody knows they've got a ticket to that show. I'm just a little bit caught in the middle. Life is a maze, love is a riddle. I don't know where to go, can't do it alone. I've tried, and I don't know why. I'm just a little girl lost in the moment. I'm so scared, but I don't show it. I can't figure it out, it's bringing me down. I know I've got to let it go and just enjoy the show. And just enjoy the show. I'm just a little bit caught in the middle. Life is a maze, love is a riddle. I don't know where to go, can't do it alone. I've tried, and I don't know why. I'm just a little girl lost in the moment. I'm so scared, but I don't show it. I can't figure it out, it's bringing me down. I know I've got to let it go and just enjoy the show. But just enjoy the show. Just enjoy the show. I want my money back, I want my money back, I want my money back. Just enjoy the show. I want my money back, I want my money back, I want my money back. Just enjoy the show. Alright, thank you guys so much. Great job today. I'll see you next week, and have a great rest of your day.